Hello there, thanks for coming by PosterCentral.com's video blog today. I'm Pete Howard, and oh man, look at this mid-60s Motown concert poster with Marvin Gaye. What a sweet, sweet poster. Obviously Marvin, one of the 5 biggest, legends to ever come out of Motown stables, and here we are in the very peak of Marvin's first phase, I guess I can call a simple hit-making, hit single phase, in December of 1965. Boy, I'll tell you, in Seattle, Washington, at the well-known and famous Eagles Ballroom. Take a look at that. What a sweet piece. I'll tell you, this is like the absolute definition of a boxing-style concert poster, which is often so closely, that's what Tilghman did. This was printed by Tilghman out of Oakland, California, and they were really well-known, and their posters are just such typical boxing-style concert posters, made out of sturdy cardboard. And the first thing you want to say is the standard 14 by 22 inch window card size, right? Actually, this is a little bit bigger, interestingly enough. So here is a 14 by 22 inch Tilghman boxing style concert poster from the same era, early 60s, and this is 14 by 22 inches, and I'll show you with this Marvin that if you put the other one over it, look at that, there's extra space. That's right, the Marvin Gaye is actually 16 by 24 inches. So, it's a little bit bigger in either direction, and that, I guess poster real estate to many is just like regular real estate. The more the better, although some do prefer the absolute standard size. But for me, the more the better. It just looks cooler on your wall and is easier to see from a distance and so forth. So it's nice to have this at 16 by 24. Now the condition is not perfect or anything, it's not mint. In fact, if you look at the upper left-hand corner there around Eagles, it's actually got some moisture damage there. Luckily no water stain, but it's a pretty loose, you can see it there even better, sort of a loose flimsy corner. But, that's okay. You take these things as you find them, definitely. So, looking at the venue information up there at the top, as you can see, it does say Eagles Ballroom, a well-known Seattle place, Seattle, Washington, from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. And then, of course, below that, Saturday night, December 11th. The year usually not given because you didn't need it, because these things were made to last just a few weeks and everybody already knew what year it was. And then below that, below the date, look at that, radio station KYAC anniversary presentation. And KYAC at the time was Seattle's first and only soul music radio station, and they don't put it on here, but it must have been their first anniversary because they were pretty new still. They signed on in '64, so I'm guessing they signed on in December of '64, and this was their first anniversary. And then you've got the show and dance, typical Tilghman style there, although everybody used that back in the day, that term. But interestingly, notice how bright red the venue information is above that, and then show and dance starts to get, as you get down into the, the oblong there, it's less red and becoming black. That's because this is a classic Tilghman split fountain printing process on their concert poster. And at first, at a distance real quickly, you might think of red and black, right? But actually, as you can see, it goes from red to black into blue, into a dark blue. So here on the show and dance, you've got the red already morphing into the black color. And then you've got pure black color from the word with in Marvin's photo down into the opening act's first name, Johnny. That's all pure black. And then if you look at Talbot there, those are blue letters, but the top of them are black because you've got the black morphing into the blue. So, that's kind of fun. I think that's really nice. It's eye-catching, and maybe it's subliminal, but it's neat. What's interesting is it's even true with the photograph. Notice the picture of Talbot. His head and guitar neck are in black, and then it morphs into blue for his body and the guitar's body as well. That's what's funny about, a split fountain and a printing press. It doesn't care what it's printing. When it gets to its color, it's going to print, So you've got blue and white down here. And then, obviously, with the lettering, it stays blue all the way down to the Tilghman credit there at the bottom. That is in the blue ink as well. So that's an interesting process, this so-called split fountain thing, which refers to the way the ink is actually sprayed out. So Talbot, by the way, appears on a lot of concert posters of the era in the area, Bay Area and Pacific Northwest. He was a journeyman musician, sometimes known as Johnny Talbot and the Thangs as his backup group. But boy, this is all about Marvin, that's for sure. Marvin Gaye. 1965, you couldn't pick a better year for a Marvin poster. That year was the first year he experienced a #1 record, and he had 2 of them. Now, I'm talking about the R&B charts, and the records are, in the spring of '65, he achieved his first ever #1 with Be Doggone, and then in the fall of 1965, his second #1 single, and that is right here on the poster, which is really nice. What a great song title to have on your poster, a #1 record, and that, of course, is Ain't That Peculiar. And both of those records, by the way, Peculiar and I'll Be Doggone, were top 10 pop hits nationally, so they're very much part of the American, pop culture musical lexicon, and if you're a music fan, you know them as well as I do, so that's really fun. But, it's interesting how they could have put half a dozen song titles on this poster, but they chose to put just one, but it was his most recent hit, and a numero uno, so sure, it's a great advertising thing, but he had already hit with other records like Stubborn Kind of Fellow, Pride and Joy, Can I Get a Witness, which, by the way, the Rolling Stones, first of all, he did Hitch Hike, and the Rolling Stones covered, and he also had a hit with Can I Get a Witness, with the Stones not only covered on their first album, but answered with the instrumental Now I've Got a Witness. And then, of course, there's things like Baby Don't You Do It, which the band covered, Robbie Robertson and Levon Helm and the gang, and How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You. Still to come, I heard it through the grapevine 3 years later, and in the '70s, What's Going On. But boy, this is 1965 and just a beautiful, sweet soul music, everything boxing style concert poster by Tilghman. Just a real beauty. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for coming by, and we'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.